SFL, it's me, Gee. I am no longer dying. I got Will with me.
So
We are going to talk some playoffs and shit, and we're going to talk about what happened last week. And we're going to start right off with the game that everybody wants to start out with. It's me versus Will, and how I beat the number one team in the league and making him no longer the number one team in the league.
yeah, well, I mean, let's just talk about how lucky you literally got. If it wasn't for Barkley, there's no shot you win this game. Even with my one quarterback versus your two, my team still should scare every single person in here to get 175 with only one quarterback, that being a Carolina quarterback. So you should all be scared.
Sure, you could probably have scored 15 to 20 more points this week had you had a player there instead of Josh Palmer.
Yeah. No. And if Josh Palmer didn't get PIs every 5 seconds, I would have
Five.
won too.
I swear, dude. If like you actually, if we had a rule that you got the points for the yards and the PIs from when it happens on your wide receivers, you probably win this game.
Well, he got PI'd in the end zone twice.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, would you count that as touchdowns if you get PI in the
No,
end
but I'm just
zone?
saying, like, let's say he did it. That's 12 points, two catches. I'm at 191. Like, I lose by a point.
Would we give like 2 points or 3 points to a player if they get PI'd in the end zone?
That's hard. Like, I think you can give 1 point for PI. Like, you get 1 point. It was supposed to be like a catch, right? You don't
Yeah,
get the
but PI
yards.
in the end zone is a whole other thing because like you're
True.
getting, that's like you're taking away a touchdown.
Maybe you give them. That's what I'm saying. So maybe you don't give the yards for the PI. You get the target catch, like you were going to make the catch, and then in the end zone maybe you get 2 points because you get a target and you were about to get a really. I don't know. That's kind of messy, and I feel like that's going to be a lot of work for Dylan.
I feel like you should get the points for the yards and then plus the 1 point for drawing the PI. And then I feel like a PI in the end zone should be like 2 points instead of one.
Hmm.
Just like
Yeah,
an
but I don't know.
extra.
Can he actually put the scoring like that? Because that seems like a
Oh,
lot of manual
I don't
scoring.
know if any league has that. I don't know if
Yeah,
like any system has that. And no, we're not gonna make Dylan do it. But it was just like I think
he's
if
got free time.
I think if it got added, it would be pretty cool. But regardless, I beat you. That means I get one game advantage into the playoffs, which puts me in a pretty decent spot to make the playoffs at the moment. There is one tricky part, which is Jordan, which we'll get to later. You are 9-3. You can still get your bye week back, but you have lost it to Victor at the moment, thanks to this loss. And yes, Barkley did go off, and yes, that is why I won. But you also had Jacobs go off, and you lost, so suck a nerd.
True. Yeah. I mean, if talking about Victor, he survived
Yeah,
against Kyle. Like that was another survival game for him. 165. It's the lowest. Oh, actually, sorry, Razor's Edge, but it was one of the lowest winners of the week. So lucky for him of who he played, and good win for him. That I was gonna go to the lowest, but the lowest is Razor's Edge. I mean, geez, Adi, can you put something together, something whatsoever to just like help Gee out here? Gee needs you to beat Razor's Edge on this game. So
I really
two
do.
and ten.
Yeah. What is like Razor's Edge also had 500 people in his bye week, like, and he still pulled out the win, so that feels pretty good for him, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one of those people is Tyrod Taylor. So let's uh,
Yeah.
let's edit that a little bit.
Go back into our division. Martial Law and Gary. Rob got the win, 190 to 170. Gary's team has fallen off for a little bit, but this week he came back to a respectable scoring to 170. He's gonna need these points because the only way he gets in now is by being the top scorer, and he definitely has a chance. We
In Martial Law, I mean Robert's quarterback system. And granted, Jalen Daniels didn't have anything until the last what
Yeah,
5 minutes. Like he was
yeah.
like had 15, so I was like, oh my gosh, maybe he'll lose this week. And then that huge touchdown to McLaurin
I've
put
noticed
it
that
there.
about Jaden Daniels because of Zach Ertz. So it's like every time I have Zach Ertz on my roster, I'm like, oh fucking goddamn, Zach Ertz not gonna score anything, and he has 5 points going into like the fourth quarter, and then he ends the game with 20. Like it always feels that way. Like Jay, for some reason, Jaden Daniels does not pass Zach Ertz the ball until the fourth quarter, and that offense sucks ass until the fourth quarter. Feel like that's just every week, all pretty much. I don't know. Maybe Holden watches these games and he can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But
Well, I'm a little scared because Robert's team, you got Ladd is actually a force in that offense. I mean, he's
yeah,
like the Cooper Cup of this offense in a way. And you say he has got Kamara and Brown on the bench this week because they're in buys,
yeah,
and you only get 12
and
points from your
Higgins.
running backs and Higgins.
Yeah,
And I mean, he had Addison on the bench. Addison had all the catches last week instead of Jefferson. Like Jefferson had a poor week
yeah. What was that
last week.
about?
I don't know, but like he goes off. So and Bowers had a bad week. He had 10 like
10
targets
targets
and
and only 7.8
still had
points. Yeah.
a 7 points. But I mean, of course, McBride 15 targets. That's just sick.
Yeah. Rob's team is super fucking scary, and I'm worried because I play him this week. Let's go on
Mm-hmm.
to the next division. We got Magic School Bus and the Haspens. Big playoff implications here. Um, Both of these guys are hoping to win out to get to 7-7 and maybe have like a reason to get into the playoffs the traditional way. But they still, regardless, even if they don't get to 7-7, they still can be the highest scoring team to get into it. So both teams are still in it. They're both have good points. I know D Haas has more points than Dylan. So this was a big game. Dylan left a lot of points in his bench with Nick Chubb and Keenan Allen. I would have never started fucking Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, like I feel like Nick Chubb is one of those guys right now that he's been trying to get him ramped up, and now it looks like he's ready to go. So it's
yeah.
a perfect timing for him to get rid of Dowell and that bad offense.
But again,
And
he had 23 points because he had 2 touchdowns. How often is 2 touchdowns? And Dowdle had zero touchdowns. So like, can you really trust Nick Chubb going into next week over Dowdle? I don't know.
against oh, who they play? I don't even see who they're playing, but it just depends. I think it's just going to depend on the matchup,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Matchup dependent, big time.
But if you look at Dylan, Dylan's done it again. Dylan has, at the trade deadline, made moves to get his team into a place where they're going to make the playoffs again. When he should have never made the playoffs, and we all gave him everything that he could to get in there. You gave him Matt Stafford, or
Yeah, Matt
yeah, Matt
Stafford.
Stafford
hmm
for nothing. No,
I
you
give
gave him
him
for
Matt
something.
Stafford and Tony Pollard for Lawrence and Drake London.
Yeah, that was a bad trade. Good for you. We'll see what happens actually at the end, but you
Yeah.
probably gave him a chance. But if you look at Dias's team, I mean, it's just showing where he's at. Granted, he didn't have a second quarterback. Joe Burrow was on a bye, but this team is just falling every single week. Injuries, everything you can think of. So I don't see Dias making the playoffs. We'll see though.
He's got a really good chance with the points. Nick Collins is back now. He's been missing this guy real big. His wide receivers are coming through right now. The Sutton and Collins and JSN showing up like out of nowhere now too. If like this keeps up, I think D House can definitely get in by points. Who's the other two teams on this division? Is it the other gangbang truck stop glory hole, right? And we got Elderly Gangbang winning 172 to 146. They,
Jordan's team, man. I mean, granted, again, bye weeks hurt,
yeah, not having
obviously with
Chase,
Chase.
not having Brian Thomas, not having
Um,
Bijan.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think that Jordan's team is very good, but I would say now, unfortunately, because I hate him, Robert's team is the best team in this league right now,
It might
as
be,
far as.
yeah.
But it's hopefully Jordan can make the playoffs. I think he will because of his strong points and everything else, but we'll see.
Jordan, we were really overestimating what I said this when the trade happened, and then there was that one week where they blew up, and then everybody was overestimating this. But Adams and Hopkins were the two players that he had on his team that I think everybody estimated how many points they would get. But he still has Jefferson and Chase, and
Mhm.
Jefferson disappeared today, and Chase was on a bye. So I don't know. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
It seems good.
Well, I mean, if you look at the standings right now, um, it it's interesting. Well, you're not sharing your screen, just to let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
We are? Okay. Well, maybe I'm not seeing it. Oh, there I am. I see it now. My bad. Anyways, if you look at the standings, I said in a song being joke I was joking in a song that Holden's going to take over the division, and if you look at the Donnies, he's in first,
Yeah,
and it's just sick. It's sickening that Holden just keeps putting himself in a chance of making the playoffs slash now leading the division. So big win for him. He's got the tiebreaker, I think, on truck stop. I'm not sure 100%. We'll see in a little bit, but D Haas has
he
gone
has a
from first
tiebreaker at
to
truck stop.
third.
Yeah,
He does.
he's beaten truck stop 2 times this year. So
Wow.
so
Okay.
yeah, somehow Holden has beaten truck stop 2 times, and if Holden beats D Haas and Dylan, and Jordan beats D Haas and Dylan, then yeah, Holden wins the division. And even if they go 1-1 on their next, both of them go 1-1 on their next 2 games, Holden still wins the division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, this is going to be. We talk about how this division was, really top heavy, and now it's probably going to be the best finishing division, just because every game has playoff, implications in it. So it's a huge, huge game. I mean, if you look at our division, it is and it isn't. I think that it's fairly set. I don't think even if Gary wins this week against me, it matters for him. He's really just got to concentrate, like you said, on points.
That's the only way he gets in. He gets in on
Yeah.
points.
So
Yeah.
like our games don't matter as much. I mean, your game with Robert means something because you just need
I
a
need,
win and you're in. I
yeah,
mean, a
one
win for
win.
you and you're in.
Yeah, just one. I got to beat
Yeah.
either Rob or Gary, and then I'm guaranteed in a playoff spot. But if I lose both, I can get knocked off.
Hmm. I mean, but my game with Gary doesn't mean a lot other than points, kind of thing. For me, it's just going to mean number one seed or not, which I'm in the playoffs, so it happens what it happens. But looking at it, yeah, you need to win this week. That'd be a big win to put you locked in, and I
Hmm.
like it because it would get Robert
Gets
off my back.
Yeah, and you need it. And you have the tiebreaker on Rob on the head to head, so you have one game coming up against them.
Well, and the week 14 is all of his buys. So that's the only good thing. He's got a lot of his people on a bye. I think it's going to be an easier week for me on
Mm.
week 14. So I'm already counting that as a win. I know Robert's going to laugh at that, but I'm already counting those wins just because of the amount of talent that's out for him.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. So yeah, that's basically the road to playoffs for the Walters. We have 2 teams that are guaranteed in. We have one team that is reliant solely on getting points, and then you have myself, my team, which is probably getting in, but need a win, one game at least to lock it in for sure. Going
Mm-hmm.
on to the Donnies. The Donnies is a trippy one, right? Because all of these teams in the Donnies all have a chance to get into the playoffs as well, just like the Walters. But the thing about the Donnies is, again, if you win your division, you are in the playoffs as one of the top 3 seeds. So we have 2 6-6 teams that are in the front of this division, and the other 2 teams are 5-7. So, and the 2 6-6 teams have already played each other. So anything can happen here. Like literally, any of these teams can make the playoffs by beating each other and by scoring points. The one that is the least likely to get in by points is Holden. So Holden actually is the one that has the most pressure to win these games, next 2 games.
hmm Which is so interesting. I mean, I think this rule has really shaken up the league and helped make a great parity within it.
Hmm.
But if you look, DeHaas and Skullbus, they of course obviously split their games, so he's getting the points. And now with Truck Stop and DeHaas, that game is going to matter. Obviously, but all the games are going to matter, but that game especially is going to matter just to make sure that if DeHaas wins, I think he gets the tiebreaker over Jordan, right? Did he beat Jordan
Did he
already?
beat let's take a look here. His schedule first 3 weeks he played Jordan. Week 3 and he lost. No,
He
Jordan's got the
lost.
Jordan has a tiebreaker.
So
Yeah,
it's even worse. He's
yeah,
got to win
he has to.
because if he loses, then he's lost. He's down in points and tiebreak. So he's got to win that week.
Talking about this, we were talking just now on the group chat about this one, which is a very interesting scenario. So even though everyone says that Jordan's got like this amazing team, right? He's not one of the top 6 teams at the moment naturally because he's not winning his division, and the person he has to compete with another 6-6 team because he's 6-6 at the moment. Has to compete with another 6-6 team who is also in his division, who's winning, has a tiebreaker on him. So he's not one of the natural playoff spots right now. He's in simply because of points. And so he's the wild score team that is the number 7 in our playoffs because he's got 2,200 points, which is a crazy shit ton of points. And D-Haas was the team that is the one ahead of the pack to have that number 7 seed getting in by points because he has 2,000. So out of all the teams that are out of playoffs, D-Haas is the one who has 2,000. So we are getting into this weird situation where D-Haas feels like his best chance to get into the playoffs if he, let's face it, he has to win the next 2 games to get into the playoffs naturally, like, and not be the wild score team. He has to go 7-7. Um, so in case he doesn't win, he wants to be the highest scoring team to get into the playoffs. But that means he needs Jordan to win his games too, because if Jordan loses his games, then that means Jordan gets in as the wild score team because Jordan's so far ahead of everybody by points. So we get into a situation where Diaz and Jordan are gonna play each other. In is it this week or next week? They're playing each other this week. So we're getting into the situation where they're going to play each other. And Diaz kind of wants Jordan to beat him in a way because he wants Jordan to be out of the spot where he's eating up the point scored spot, the wild score, the number 7 seed. Diaz needs Jordan to win, but he also doesn't want to score a small number of points because he also needs to get in by points. This is just a crazy scenario. Like he's kind of rooting for himself to lose in a way.
It is very strange. I mean, the one thing that is even stranger with this is Kyle has the head to head on both D Haas, Human, and Dylan. He has the head to head on all three. And he plays Human this week. If he beats Human, there's almost no way that he's out. He's in this week. And it also puts you in as well with that win,
Wait,
even
wait.
if
If
you
if
lose.
if Kyle beats Human,
If Kyle beats Human this week, there's no way he doesn't make the playoffs because he's got a head to head on Human, he's got a head to head on Dehas, he's got the head to head on Dylan. He's got the head to head on all three of those teams.
yeah. But if we are talking about when you have more than 2 teams, that I don't think the head to head doesn't work that way, does it?
Yeah, but he's that's why he's showing. If you look at the standings, he's eighth, and Dehas and Skullbus are ninth and 10th because he's got the head to head.
Oh wow, it does work that way.
Yeah.
I did
So
not know that.
and he beat
Oh
Razor's Edge of week
shit.
1 or week 3. I think he beat Razor's Edge. Razor's Edge obviously a game ahead of him. He beats Razor's Edge again. He's beat him twice, so he's got the head to head on Razor's Edge. He's
Yeah.
beaten D Haas. He's beaten Skullbus. He's number 6, and I don't see him
Wow.
leaving 6. He's locked at almost 6 basically, unless
I
because
mean,
they have to play each other, right? So D Haas and Magic School Bus are playing each other. So that's one game they can't win. And even if Dylan loses but then wins the next week, he loses the head to head. So it's almost like he's in if he wins this week.
wow. Crazy implications. I did not catch that. I thought that if you were, let's say, three teams are tied, they would immediately go for points for. But no, there's actual head to head still counts even with multiple teams.
Yeah,
As
head to
long as,
head's always first.
yeah, as long as that person has beaten everyone in the tiebreaker, they go through.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
And speaking of head to heads, which, you know, this matters more to me. But obviously, if you look at the number 1 seed right now, obviously you see Cream Pie is in the first because he
Hmm.
beat me.
Yes.
However, he is also the same. He lost to Martian Law or Robert,
Hmm.
but because I'm winning the division, I'm in first in our division. So
Correct.
then it would go to the tiebreaker between me and Victor, which he beat me, so he's the number 1
Correct.
seed.
So he's the real
Even
number one
though
seed at the moment.
even though Robert, if you go by true standings, if you were going by true standings, he should be the bye.
But
But
he's
because
not.
of the bye week, he can't, and he has to beat me to get the bye.
So
Either way, it doesn't really matter. He's got to beat me.
Rob was talking about how he was the sheriff in town, but he's actually not. Victor is actually the sheriff in town because he has a tiebreaker on you, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
tiebreaker on Rob, and that kind of
Correct.
makes a difference because we're talking. And so, see again, seed 1, 2, and 3 are based off of division winners only. And
Mm-hmm.
because we have fucking elderly gangbang in there as a 6-6 is one of the top three for winning his division, it's the tiebreaker for first place is only between you and Victor. Rob is not in. Rob
Yeah,
is
I mean,
not in on that tiebreaker.
he's got to beat me week 14. The only way he gets in, he's got to beat me, so we're tied
Yeah,
as far as head to head, and he's got me currently on points. It's not like a what is it, 14, 30 points. He's got me by 30 points right now.
yeah, it's not a
So
lot.
it's not a lot of points either. So
Yeah, 15 points per game for the next two games.
so I mean, obviously he's been scoring much more than I have the last 6 weeks. So I would not see myself getting in by points. So I have to beat him. But if I win, I'm clinched at least the number 2. And it all comes down to what Victor does the next 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
but it's going to be fun. I mean, this week is going to be huge. Like we said, Kyle's game is a huge game. Kyle plays against Human.
Yep.
Obviously, Human
Yep.
doesn't have his team in yet, or maybe he does. He guess he does. No, is he going to start Flacco? No, can't start Flacco. This is his team. Except you might put Kyle Pitts in. Yeah, I mean, based upon these projections, it doesn't look good for him because Allen's not going to play. I think it's going to be Bryce Purdy.
Yep. Yep.
So I think Kyle wins.
Yeah. He still has Flacco. Still has Taylor on his roster.
But Flacco's not starting right now.
Does you really think Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback over Rodgers
I mean,
just
they
for
had been
20 minutes?
talking about benching him, but I just don't see that happening. What's the point? Just get him through the year.
Yeah.
So if he loses, right? So Kyle wins. He's 6-7. That really helps you at 6-7. Did you beat Kyle?
Yeah, I think I beat Kyle.
You did. So you got the tiebreaker on that. So yeah, I think that game matters more than your actual game to you, because if you win, great, you're in. But if Kyle wins, you're definitely in. I would say
Yeah.
so. And then of course D Haas and Jordan, huge game. Um, Skullbus and and Holden are going to be a great game just because as we talked about,
That entire
Holden is the less.
those division games are really interesting. Like the Donnie division games,
Yeah,
they have implications throughout the entire playoffs, not just like these guys.
yeah, and of course, Cream Pie's got free real estate this week, so
Yeah.
2-10, and he could break the record this week. I saw that he could have a 10 game losing streak, which would be the worst ever.
And it looks like it's gonna happen because he's going up against Victor. Victor's got no. This is a no bye week, I think. For there's like, are there any teams on bye week this week?
I think there might be a one, but I don't think it's anybody I have.
There's nobody on my team.
Maybe
No.
not. Maybe it's a non-bye week.
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh,
a
it's
no.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, there's not a bye week on
No.
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
because everybody plays.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, but the week 14 is going to be
Big. Yeah.
big bye weeks, which I think is stupid. I think the bye week should end by week 10. Not even for fantasy.
I don't know. Maybe push it to like week 12 or something. Um. But I can see where you're coming from. So I'm playing against Rob. This is projected pretty close, 140 to 146. Rob may his optimum is 151, so he may make some changes here. I mean, I doubt he sits Kamara, so Kamara's probably in the lineup. But who knows? And Saquon, who is my saving grace, is up against Baltimore. So yeah, it's very big chances that I lose here. Even though
Well, and Christian McCaffrey against Buffalo's defense.
I mean Buffalo's defense is bad at stopping the run. It really depends on if Purdy comes back. I think if Purdy comes back, Christian McCaffrey
True.
can have like a 25-point game or something like that.
True.
You're going up against Gary, who hasn't set his lineup yet. But regardless, you're projected to win by like another 15 points.
And it's obviously I would like it if Purdy plays.
Yeah,
If he doesn't, I'll put Young in. Which you know what, for Young, it's another great matchup. Tampa Bay
yeah. Tampa Bay is
going up and
soft.
down the field. He'll probably be down like he was last week,
Hmm.
and he'll have to just throw the ball around. So
You
I'm not
might
too worried
consider
about it.
putting in Bryce Young regardless, even if Purdy is in.
It's possible, just because it's Buffalo and they might not play him anyways because it's Buffalo.
It's a Sunday night game, so even if it's iffy, I would throw in
Yeah.
Young anyway.
So, but either way, I think I pretty much win this week, but we'll see. You
Yeah,
never know in fantasy.
never know. Uh, yeah, the big one here, Kyle versus Human. We've talked about the playoff implications of this. We're all rooting for Kyle to win, I think. I think Kyle winning helps a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, mostly you. I think it would be funny. I just think it would be funny more than anything else because if he's got the tiebreaker over Skullbus and D Haas, that's just going to be so interesting going down to the end, and especially week 14. So I agree, and I think that if you asked Human, he would say he's going to lose this week based upon his struggling team.
Yeah, he's really rooting for that Rogers benching, I'm sure.
Oh, 100%.
And Tillman's been one of his good wide receivers going up against the Denver defense, which is a lockdown defense, which is not good. Yeah. Is Pacheco coming back? No, right? No, Pacheco's nowhere near back yet.
No, I don't think so.
Campbell soup, cream pie, cupcake. We all think Victor's gonna win that one.
I mean, Dobbins is now out. I mean, he's going to have his quarterback back with having Cousins back, which will be
Yeah,
a big help for him.
yeah. But Robinson got
But
hurt. We don't know if Robinson is gonna come back.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be he could put Javante in. Obviously, Javante Williams is not that offense is throwing the ball a lot, but maybe they rush the ball for touchdowns. You never know, but if Debo doesn't have anybody that's throwing the ball, then you know it's gonna
Magic
stink.
Skull Bus versus Elderly Gangbang. This one's projected real close. Optimums for both sides 137 to 136. So this is looking like quite the toss up.
He's starting four receivers and two tight ends, or three receivers, two tight ends. But that's remember we talked about it. Will he
Both teams
start
are.
Chubb or Dow? He's starting neither.
I mean, it just bothers me that he's got Schultz in his lineup every single week. What is like?
Oh well, that too.
What
Oh,
is
that
going
I thought
on?
you were talking about Dylan,
Well, I mean, they
but no,
both
yeah,
are, but
yeah, I know.
like Schultz every single week. Somebody's like, we're gonna have to get to the bottom of this. What's with this Holden obsession with Dalton Schultz?
Also, I hope he's joking around and not and he's starting Carr and not DeVito. Like DeVito against
Dallas is
that
a
off,
soft defense,
he
but
was.
so is Tampa.
I mean, I would say Carr is the guy you start that week against the Rams. The Rams, it's not like the Rams defense is anything as far as against the pass.
It's just average.
I don't know. I think based upon the people that are out in his lineup that will probably be in, like Garrett Wilson, Hall. Hopefully, he doesn't start Schultz. I think that Holden wins this week, but we'll see.
I think he already set his lineup. I think this is who he wants to play.
There's no way he's not starting Garrett Wilson instead of Slayton.
True,
I don't know.
true.
We'll see.
On the Dylan side here, Matt Stafford and Patty Mahomes. That's yeah, you start those two. Pollard and White, like that's the question. Are you starting White over Chubb? I would 100% start White over Chubb.
You start Chubb.
I would start White 100%.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean he gets catches, not as many as Bucky does now, but he's getting catches, he's getting touches, and he got a touchdown last week.
Yep. Wide receivers. Are you trusting Keenan Allen?
Man, for a guy that really believed in Keenan Allen at the very beginning, I don't believe anymore. So I don't know.
I
Like
mean, he got
who else is he
15
starting
targets
though?
last week. 15 targets last week. They fired their coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on in Chicago. They fired their coach.
Yes.
So like maybe this is it. New coach is like some was like finally got some things cooked up for Keenan Allen. Or maybe he this is like his actual comeback.
Maybe. I don't know. If I was him, looking at the different people, I might even start Westbrook over in Tennessee because he's been getting huge numbers the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
that's rookie Keenan. Yeah, yes.
but I mean, is both of them Washington, Detroit? Those are two good matchups for wide receivers because Detroit's probably going to score a bunch, and they're going to have to throw to get back in the game. So I don't know. That's an interesting pick, but I think for me, I wouldn't start Taysom Hill. I know he's been
I would
getting
start Taysom
points.
Hill. I would. I would start Taysom
Yeah.
Hill. Yeah, I would start Taysom
No.
Hill over Kate On. If you're gonna sit somebody, you would sit Kate On, in my opinion. But I think they could both have big games. Mike
Yeah.
Evans is back, so Cade Otton's not getting the looks that he was. Cade Otton had taken over the Mike Evans role in a way
Mm-hmm.
while Mike Evans was injured, and now that he's back, Caden has stepped down. But they actually were just running the ball on Carolina, or
They
not on
were.
Carolina, on the Giants, and the game was like so dominant.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to like say what happened last week will continue into this week. So
I mean, I think that Dylan's probably got the hardest choices.
he does very hard choices here. Khalil
Yeah.
Shakir. Do you want to start Shakir?
I do because Shakir, even though I know Cooper's probably getting back healthy for that team, Shakir is still their Cooper Cup. He's still that guy that gets 6, 7 targets a game usually, little drag routes. I think he's the guy that you would start. He's averaging what 17, 18 points the last 4 weeks. I think I'd rather go with that than a possibility of you know
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Shakir is definitely in the starting. I think. Yeah, I think Dylan has actually set the right lineup. I think Probably the lineup that I would have come to in the end. I do think I would like to believe in Keelan Allen and start him against Detroit, just like he has
Hmm.
them. You're never sitting St. Brown. Shakir is probably another really good start. The real question mark is to me is the Kate Otten, and then like, do you start Nkine or Chubb over Kate Otten? Like those are the three.
Yeah, I think I'm drawn to starting Chubb over a bunch of them, and so I think, even I know Pollard with Spears out was out last week. I'm not sure. I, Against that Washington defense,
No,
as
Washington
far as
defense is soft.
the up front.
Yeah,
So that's the only thing maybe I would. But Denver's off defense has been tough up front too against the
yeah,
run. So
yeah. I'd much rather have
it's a
Pollard
tough
against
one.
Washington personally.
I don't think he has a bad choice. Like if he switches out somebody, I
Yeah,
don't think it's a bad thing.
uh, yeah, I agree. I like. Can you really sit Taysom Hill out after he just had a 50-point game after they fired their coach and they got a new offensive system and the guy is like, "Oh, we love Taysom Hill," and the
I don't
motherfucker
know.
like,
I
can
don't
you
know. I
sit
mean,
him 50 points, dude? Can you sit somebody after he just got 50 points?
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know. I guess that's the issue is that I just do I believe in Taysom Hill? Is this 2022 Taysom Hill again? I don't know.
And final game is the D Haas versus Truck Stop Glory Hole. And
Has he set his
Truck
lineup?
Stop hasn't settled his lineup. I think
No.
D Haas has.
I mean, because McMillan's definitely out. You got Chase in there,
Yeah.
so that's
I mean, the
eight
optimum is
16.
146 versus 133, so truck stop.
Well, if you just take out McMillan for that, he's got
Yeah.
134. So
Yeah. Just take out. Yeah. And now, are you thinking about Brian Thomas? I'd probably start Brian Thomas over Pierce.
Schoolmaker, well,
Uh,
Schoolmaker, and then I probably start. Even though I know Warren looks like Warren's taking over that running game. I think that Cincinnati game is going to be tough. I would probably start. I would definitely start Bijan.
yeah, and then you got to think Walker versus Warren. It's probably Walker.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at least 25 points in addition right here. So
Yeah.
I think Jordan wins. I think DeHaas keeps falling. I mean, what is it? 6 straight losses for him.
Dude, his wide receivers got some soft lineups, though.
Yeah, but Sutton, they are not throwing to Sutton as much as you think. Like
He just
he
came
has
off a
not been.
30-point game.
He got a 30-point game, yes, but if you look,
10
it's because he had
targets.
touchdowns.
10 targets. 100
He had two
yards.
touchdowns.
100
Take
yards,
two
two touchdowns.
touchdowns away.
That's still 100 yards.
Whatever. I just pissed because I got rid of him. So I'll just. We'll see what Mike Evans does this week.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay is going to run the ball more against Carolina than the past. So maybe Mike Evans has a down game.
Maybe it was a bad choice to get rid of Evans and Sutton for AJ Brown. We'll see.
I told you, man. I think AJ Brown is just a name. He's
He had a
got
good week last week.
Hurts is throwing him the ball.
It's
That's his number one weakness.
In reality, we need D-House not to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
D-House's team is scarier. Personally, I think D-House's team is scarier than Jordan's team because of the quarterbacks.
you think so?
Look at him. He's got Sam Darnold,
And Joe
right?
Burrow.
But I'm saying Jordan's got Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson. Two quarterbacks that aren't really that good. They're
Mm-hmm.
good, but they've definitely plateaued, especially Sam Darnold since the very beginning. And you got
I
Burrow
still
and
see a low
Stroud.
30s.
I mean, the only thing that D House isn't scary is the running back game,
Yeah,
but
because he only has one.
yeah, everywhere else, wide receiver wise, he's scary. So I don't know. I would not want to play against D Haas out of anybody. Him or Robert. Those are the two people I would not want to play against in my first round matchup or in the semis.
Why does D Haas only have one running back? What was the trades that he made?
Well, he get Jordan Mason was the one that I made with him early on.
Yeah. But what was on the trade deadline trades? Do you
I don't
remember what the
remember.
trade line trades were for D Haas?
I don't think he got a running. I don't think he got rid of running backs.
No, he traded you wide receivers, AJ Brown.
He got rid of Jonathan Taylor
Yeah.
for Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah. I can see why you'd want to do that.
But now he's got. I mean,
And
yeah,
that
you
was
got
a
to. You're losing a lot of points. He could
but
have Geno.
but Jonathan Taylor is just a name, right? Like at this point with
He had a
Richardson
decent game
as
last week.
no, he
Oh no,
didn't.
he
Two
didn't.
two and
I
a half
thought he
points.
did.
2.5 points.
Well, I mean, it's a good trade, but it's not. It's somebody that you can't. You know.
I don't know. I,
It,
I I would assume he should have been trying to trade me for Tony Pollard. So he should have done. He should have gotten Tony Pollard for me, and I should have got one of his wide receivers instead of what I did with Dylan. Why
yeah.
would we do that, D Haas? Like why? What the fuck is going on here? What are we thinking? Uh, yeah, that's it. I think that's all the games.
Well, I just looked and I know everybody cares about this, but Brock Purdy threw yesterday, and it's everything's good. He's comfortable. He's feeling good. So I don't know if anybody was worried about it. All right, I definitely was not.
No worry at all.
No, 100% not. So,
All right, it's a good
but
place
anyways,
to call it. Thank you very much, Will, for coming on the pod. You guys have any ideas or anything we want to talk about? Let us know. Um, good luck in your matchups, and I think that's it. Unless you got something you want to say to the people, Will.
you just are the best ending in the show business right now, my friend. You know how to wrap it up.
I either have a good start and a good finish. I can't have good both. I did a good start today. Um.
Uh,
All right.
well, what? Good luck, except for D Haas and Human. There you go. That's my thing.
Sweet. Later, y'all.
All right, bye.